I think you heard me when I was saying I was just like looking up your website. I've been using your product for a long time, and I just was fortunate. I just found your phone number on the website. I didn't think it would be your personal phone, and I got a hold of you, and we made contact, and we got you on the radio here. What I want to do, Rick, is I want to read to everybody a real brief bio, and if there's anything left out, please fill it in. I want the people to know who you are, what you do, so on and so forth. And we've also got a list of questions, frequently asked questions, and I want to make some of my commentaries too. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a little bit about Rick real fast. He grew up in western Pennsylvania and has been around firearms all his life. He made it to Texas by way of the military and never found a reason to leave. Amen to that. He's lived in central Texas, Fort Hood, North and South Texas, where he started the company and currently has the Protec business in the Dallas area and Frisco. He's worked for two major corporations and has a chemistry background, which is cool, that pointed him towards the concepts behind the No Rust bag products. Has produced the bags for over 20 years and has a customer base throughout the 50 states and international customers as well, and I can totally understand why. Has an active website, online business, sells through retailers, and sells guns at shows around the country and the local areas. Rick, now, first of all, say hi to everybody out there, Rick. Let's get everybody to hear you.
Matt, just want to say hi to all the listeners out there, and sure appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk to you today. I know you've been using the product for a long time, almost as long as we've been in business, because we've had 20 years to kind of work on this. So you came in pretty early in the process. I'm
going to be honest with you, Rick. When I first saw it, I go, no way. I mean, come on, whoever's selling this thing, it's a gimmick. It's not going to work. But man, does it work. But I want to ask you a question, Rick. You've got here, when I was reading your bio, it says a chemistry background. I wanted to ask you this question right from the get-go. Did you design this, or was it already designed and you figured to put it in bag forms?
Well, that little twig on there for my background in the military is really what did it, Matt. When that's where we first saw the product. We didn't know what it was, didn't know what it was for, but we saw some firearms that we were getting at TO&E units that were in a yellow plastic bag. And we started doing a little checking around and find out that it really did keep them from rusting. And that was about what we knew about it at the time, because VCI has been used in industry for quite a few years.
Clarify what that is, the VCI. I know what it is because I got it here, but tell everybody what that is.
Sure. And it's been used in industry for about 45 or 50 years. But VCI is a vapor phase corrosion inhibitor. Okay? Mm-hmm. It's in the polyethylene when it's extruded. So it's not on it, it's actually in it. We saw it in the military, and if we figured that it was good enough for the military to start using, there must be some more information behind it. VCI is all over the internet. There's nothing magic about VCI because it is a die-hard product that's been used for a long time. This product was one that made it very, very easy to use. It hadn't been that easy to use, but when the company that we buy the film from, now we do not make the film. That's a large industrial application. But the VCI is in the polyethylene film. When you put a firearm into that bag, that VCI comes out of the polyethylene and it's actually attracted to the metal, kind of like a magnet. That VCI sits on the surface of the metal. It doesn't allow water vapor to get through it, so you don't have any rust. That's a real quick thumbnail description of how it works and the fact that it is vapor phase corrosion inhibitor.
Let me ask you something. If you're saying it the way you're saying it, the bag isn't coated, it is. So in reality, this is probably a poor choice of words, so you correct me. As the bag decomposes, it's penetrating the gun. The bag itself doesn't decompose, but it's actually the bag is saturated with this stuff, or it's built of it, and as it penetrates the gun, it's coming off the bag. Is there any point in time that the bag loses its effectiveness?
Yeah, Matt, we talk about the military spec on it, and you can't argue with that because the military knows what they do with the product. They will replace it after 5 years. After 5 years, most of the VCI that's in that polyethylene has left the polyethylene and has either gone into the atmosphere or been deposited on your gun, okay? But it does exit the polyethylene and will, over time, and the military says 5 years, although they can't guarantee it's going to be kept in climate control. So you can probably press that window a little bit. But for the price of the product, it's really not worth it.
All right, I want to be clear here because you're making a comment that's making me have a question. If, let's say, for example, well, if the gun is in the bag and the gun is now being penetrated by the VCI, the vapor phase corrosion inhibitor, okay? And the gun now has it on it, as long as I don't take it out of the bag, you would think, since the pores of the metal and all that are sealed now with this VCI, as long as I don't take it out of the bag, wouldn't it maintain itself almost indefinitely? I would think what you're saying, the 5 years, is if the gun is in and out of the bag and you start to use up the vapor part of it and there's no longer any more left to penetrate the metal. But if it's put in the bag the first time and then kept in there, does it maintain itself almost indefinitely because it doesn't have access to open air?
Well, any polyethylene is porous, Matt. When you get down to that molecular level, there are things that will pass through polyethylene. The VCI molecule is a very, very small molecule. So when it's in the polyethylene, when it's extruded, it can come out on both sides. I mean, it's coming out the outside as well as coming out the inside. So that VCI is disappearing from the polyethylene.
Okay, would you consider that the VCI, I don't know if you heard the show. I know you were doing a lot of things this weekend. I don't know if you got to heard my cosmoline section. Did you happen to hear that?
I did hear some, and I was just twitching in my skin.
Why don't you give the audience out there an idea, if I'm not putting you on the spot, how cosmoline is compared to what these rust-proof bags are, and I know why it's so freaking fantastic. I don't have to deal with the cosmoline. But now, for example, like if I got cosmoline on a weapon, it may last for a long time because I know there's guns in storage for a long time, but you've got the repercussions of that. You've got to clean it off the weapon. It's not ready to use out of the bag. But can you give us an example or explain to us the difference between the VCI as compared to what I just talked about, cosmoline?
Yeah, there's I guess the concept, Matt, is if you seal something up and protect it from air, you're going to keep it from rusting, okay? Because oxidation happens. If you had something in a totally hermetically sealed container of some sort, you'd never have any problem with rust. But we know that's virtually impossible to do for us. Maybe NASA can do something if they're headed for the moon. But for us, that's virtually impossible to do because even a sealed bag is still porous. There are things that still will pass through it. A Ziploc is not 100% seal. Okay.
Well, then wait. Let me stop you on 1 second. What's hermetically sealed then? What makes that? What kind of material is being used there that it's not porous? Do you know the answer to that one, or am I putting you on the spot?
No, I don't know if anything's ever done like that, Matt. Because anything that I know about, and cosmoline stands in that same group of products, is that over time it will deteriorate. Okay.
I guess everything does, yeah. Go ahead. Okay.
And whether it turns into that shellac, which finally ends up on a lot of the old World War II weapons you see, which you're trying to get off.
Right.
That dries up enough and cracks. Now you're opened up to having water vapor get to that metal, and that's where you're going to have rust.
Okay. So I kept cutting you off, and I apologize. So I think you were continuing to explain the difference between the cosmoline and the VCI. Did you finish it up, or are we still? Yeah,
I think that's a pretty good explanation. And again, the cosmoline is a grease. It is used as a sealer to keep water vapor from getting to the metal. Now, if you could do that on a long-term basis, you'd have a product that was even better than our product. We say 5 years because that VCI does disappear. The VCI can also be used in a safe, okay, because it's totally safe on wood, plastic, and optics. So
now I was mentioning
your scope when you're going to store your weapon, unlike cosmoline, which is a petroleum-based product, which will just tear the heck out of the optics on a scope.
Whoa! Now let's go back over this because man, that's a totally good hot spot right there. If you've got a weapon and you want it combat ready, and you've got your optics and your lights and all this kind of stuff on it, there's no way with cosmoline. It would take forever for you to get the gun combat ready. Okay, but now in your bag, you're saying if I've got optics on it, or I've got lights on it, or I'm storing a bayonet that goes with it, or maybe supportive batteries that go with my lights. So I can just say, hey, I need this gun. Boom, it's not rusted. I just pull it out of the bag. It's ready to go. That's the way to go because your bag does not affect those electronics or anything like that, right?
Absolutely correct. Totally safe on wood, plastic, optics. So the only thing you need to do is clean that weapon and have it clean when you put it in the bag. And it's sitting there waiting for you to take it out. And you can take that bag you can take the weapon out of the bag as many times as you want in that 5-year period, and it is still ready to go. Now, 5 years can be a long time or a short time, depending on how you want to think about it. But our normal bag for a normal rifle is about a $5 product. Okay, so for about $1 a year, you're keeping your $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 weapon protected from rust, and all you had to do was clean it when you come back from the range and put it in the bag.
Hey, let me tell you something, Rick. I've had your product since about '98. I've bought many of them. Okay, and because I learned this the hard way, I had a weapon in a case with foam that I thought was airtight. I was wrong. Opened it up, it was nothing but a piece of rust. I've put guns in your bags, and then depending on what I do with them, I'll put them in a gun case, or I may, and I'll hold this off because I wanted to ask you about this about a plastic bag. But I put the gun in a rust-proof bag, one of your Protec rust-free bag things, and I put it in a gun case. And I can assure you, it's been a lot longer than 5 years, and the gun comes out pristine. It's like I just put it in there yesterday. And because I am a big user of your bags, and I use it a lot for many different things for long-term storage, I'm telling you right now in the audience listening, my gosh, you pull it out of the bag, and it's as though I just put it in there yesterday. So I know you got to stick with 5 years, but I'm telling you, man, that thing lasts for a long time.
Yeah, I do have some that I've been using longer than that too, Matt. We know and can absolutely stand behind that 5 years, knowing that in the military they can't guarantee it's going to be kept in climate-controlled storage. So
that's just CYA.
Old. Yeah. So we tell you to go ahead and replace it again. It's certainly not going to be like you have to go buy a $300 unit of some kind to keep it protected. You're using foam. That's a good way to keep it from getting knocked around, but it's really bad if you're going to store your weapon, because when you close that foam case around a weapon, you're actually trapping any moisture that you have in the area right in on top of that weapon. You'd be better off taking the weapon and just laying it on a table somewhere.
That's right.
Because any moisture you've now trapped in there. And if you've ever had to clean that foam off a weapon, I'm not sure which is easier, cleaning the foam off it or Cosmoline, because that stuff will dry up. And it just attacks the bluing on a weapon also. Yeah,
it doesn't take much. I've been both rounds. Your way is the best way to go. Now, Rick, when we were talking prior to this interview, I had mentioned to you how sometimes I would put my weapon in your bag, and then I would put that bag in a waterproof bag with a zipper. So let's clarify this, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, help me out on this, Rick. You've got different sizes. Can you tell me the different sizes you have? I know you got the pistol, and then I think you may have a standard length, or you may have a couple of different lengths when it comes to rifle, but the rifle ones don't have zippers or enclosures, and we'll get to that in a second. But why don't you talk to me about the different size bags that you've got?
Sure. We've got all the pistol sizes and all the rifle sizes, Matt, for, I would guess, 98 to 100% of anything anybody might have. And we can make custom bags. If you come to me and say, I need a bag that's 48 inches wide and 50 inches long, we can make you that bag. Our normal stuff is built basically around the fact that you've got a 6-inch revolver, okay, and you've got a shotgun or a rifle. Okay, those two bags will be a 9x12 bag or a 9x52 bag.
I know, but I carry like two bags in your pistol, two guns in your pistol bag. It fits perfect.
Yeah, no problem with that. Except you just got to be careful you don't get them knocked around and banged into each other inside the bag. But that's not a problem whatsoever. We've got wider bags for ARs. We do have a 12-inch wide bag. Our 9-inch bag is our standard. It's 52 inches long, gives you plenty of space. And, Matt, you may not be aware of it, but we do have a Ziploc on the long bag now.
Oh, I did not know that. No, because the ones that I've gotten have always been open-ended. I guess it was based on the length of the rifle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this 10x50 bag will basically handle the same thing at a 9x52, because on a plain-end bag, we just ask you to take the end of that bag and turn it over 2 cuffs and put a clip, put a piece of tape, anything that's convenient for you to use, because we don't depend on an airtight seal. The Ziplocs on our bags are only there for convenience.
Hey, now that's very important. Right? That is very important, because based on our conversation now, and I've talked to you before, that vapor is penetrating. We're not looking to keep it as a waterproof bag. We're keeping it as a water-resistant bag in the sense of moisture on the gun. And this is going to bring up to my next question. So you've got this vapor, and let's say you got this bag and you turned it over a couple of times on the end and closed it off with tape or clips or whatever. And now I was talking about this before about putting it into a waterproof bag as a secondary level of protection. You know what I'm talking about on that one?
Yes, sir. Absolutely do.
Why don't you expand upon that if you don't mind?
Sure. That's something you could do, Matt. And your trust in that waterproof seal is up to you. I don't use them because we don't plan on going underwater with anything in our bags. But that would be a bag that I guess it's advertised to be able to go underwater. I'm not sure exactly what the use of that product is, but we also say that our product can be used very, very well with any kind of long-term storage that you might want to do. There's a lot of product out there that's available. One is called the Monovault. I'm not sure if you've heard of that before or not.
No.
But that's a container that can be used to store weapons in that has a waterproof and airtight seal on it. It cranks down. It's a gamma seal. It's an industry standard seal that can be used. And if you're using our product, you just put our product in the bag, put your weapon in our product, put that into the container, and then you would have more or less of a sealed container. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a plastic tube, as opposed to the bag that you were just talking about that has a waterproof seal on it. Again, I'm not real familiar with that seal, so I couldn't tell you.
It's nothing major. It's just a plastic bag with a zipper on it to keep water out of the bag. Okay, that's basically it, but I'm thinking it's a double protection layer. You got this rust-proof bag of yours, which is freaking awesome, and then you got just one more barrier from water to get in it.
Absolutely.
That's all I was saying. But Rick, I want to ask you something. There's two different ways to store a weapon. The one way is break it down to its minimal bulk size and put it in a bag and store it. And then there's the method that I like, whereas when it comes out of the bag, it's ready to go. Optics are on, magazine is in, the whole works, which causes, let's use an AR-15 or M16 or whatever you want to call it, okay, as an example. The weapon has the magazine in, the optic is in, and I'll tell you why I bring this up. One of my new sponsors, WRB, from Gun Barrel, Texas, that's pretty cool too. He made a special design for me. I came up with the specifications that I wanted to make my SOB bag, my special operator's bag. And I said, I need a bag because most of these bags will only take the weapon with the magazine out. And I understand people got this thing about the safety, and I totally get it. But this is not the purpose of the bag. The purpose of the bag is when I open up that bag and that gun comes out, I'm ready to pull the freaking trigger. Now, your bags, your Protec bags, I know they're kind of slim, and on some of them I might have to take the magazine out. Do you make them wider where you could potentially have the gun ready to come out of the bag, ready to use at a moment's notice?
Normally we don't, Matt. We've got a 12-inch bag that will hold most of the ARs that you might want to put it in, and even some of the Barretts. Our 9-inch bag will hold most rifles. But if you have a magazine coming down on the bottom of that weapon, it does make it a little longer than our bags are normally designed for. But we can make you any size you want.
Yes, okay.
For practical purposes. If we have we just haven't seen a lot of demand for a wider bag, wider than 12 inches.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Rick. There's not a lot of people who think like me. Okay,
I understand, and we're here to be able to meet virtually any need you might have.
Well, can I ask you? I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot or not, but if somebody says, "Hey, Rick, this is my concept idea. What does it take to get bags like this?" Do you have a certain quantity that you would have to require from somebody to make a bag of certain sizes, or is it easy enough for you to make a bag upon request that doesn't cost a dramatic amount of money?
Yeah, you can take a look at our site. You can see the prices we have, Matt. That the 52-inch bag to hold an AR is a $795 bag. Okay, so that's an $8 bag. By coming into a custom bag, we don't have exactly the same process to make that, but we can make that for you. And I would expect probably in any kind of quantity, and that's anything above 10, we get set up and start running some, that we can do that for, I would guess, and this is really right off the top of my head, probably no more than about 20% adder.
Okay. Now, look, we've got about 5 minutes left in the program. Before I screw this up, let's tell everybody how they can make contact with you or talk to you or look at your products and all that kind of stuff. Give us information. Let's know where we can make contact with you, look at your stuff. Go ahead. You got the floor.
You bet. Well, thanks, man. As you know, when you called me the other night, you got me. Okay?
That was awesome, by the way.
That doesn't always happen.
And that was at, 8 o'clock at night? Ladies and gentlemen, do not call this man at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. Be respectful. I did it because I thought I was going to get an answering machine. But I just told you now, that's him. So don't bug him after 6 o'clock. That's respectful.
That's right. Now, I can't guarantee you won't get me, so if you're looking for somebody else, you might end up with me anyhow.
Okay.
At any rate, we're here to make sure that we get people's weapons protected. Now, we've been talking weapons, but we're into the automotive business.
I was going to ask you that, Rick. I saw that thing about your motorcycle. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's a product we don't have too much of a demand for here in Texas, Matt. But up in the north, guys park their bikes in the wintertime, and they park them in a garage right beside a car that's going in and out, bringing in all of that salt and calcium chloride off the roads.
That is so cool, man. Tell everybody.
Bikes were rusting, and just because somebody was walking past the table up in a show we did up in Pennsylvania, that's where we got the idea. We started making a big bag for them, and then we figured out, hey, we can make this bag in virtually any size we want to make it. We make a cover for craftsmen's table saws that just have a tendency to rust on the surface. Like I said, we're in the automotive business, selling bags to camshaft and crankshaft regrinders. We're in the oil business. We make some bags for guys that do some work in the oil business. We make custom bags for armatures for motors out of a big manufacturer in Houston. So this is a product that we didn't have to sell to anybody in the industry because they were aware of VCI. The first 5 years we were in business with the product, we were kind of wondering ourselves how it was going to go because we knew the military spec was 5 years, but until you get that guy coming back and buying it for the second time and telling you how great the product works, you're kind of on the edge of your chair. But
so how long? Let's see. How long have I been dealing with you for? Almost 18 years.
Yeah, you're 18. We've been in it for about 20. The first show we did was at the Fort Bend County Fairgrounds in Richmond, Texas.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's not too many things I go, you need to buy this product. This is one of those things you need to buy. Hey, Rick, I'm going to put you on the spot. June 11th, I'm doing a live remote at the Premier Gun Show in Temple. On Saturday, I'm doing a live remote. What does it take to get you there? We can introduce you to everybody, get your product there, maybe, tell everybody what's going on. What does it take to get you there, man?
Now, we're going to have to simonize our calendars here a little bit. We're unfortunately going to be in Chantilly, Virginia that weekend. We do a show up there about 5 times a year, and this is one of those weekends that hits that one. I'm real familiar with the premier shows. If we can link up on a schedule to either do Temple or I'm not sure if there's any other ones of Michelle's shows that you do, but any of the premier shows that are a little closer to the Dallas area, we can get to real quick. If that weekend was open, I'd be there.
Okay, we might be doing a Waco one. I'm not sure. I got to check the schedule, see what we can get in on there. But okay, we've got about 3 minutes. Rick, is there anything I'm missing here that we should be telling people?
No, just other than I didn't quite answer your question about the phone number. That it's 972-824-2233. We're real easy. All you got to remember is No Rust Bags. It's www.norustbags.net. It is a .net.
Say it again, please.
norustbags.net.
And this is Rick Dyer. Rick, you've got an incredible product. I'm not saying this for hype. I've used it. Been close to 20 years. I can't say nothing but good things about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to get these bags. If you want to preserve your guns for long-term storage or for temporary storage or for a protection in a foam case, you want the hardcover case to protect it from dings and bangs and all that kind of stuff, but you want to protect it from that foam collecting moisture and rusting your gun, the Protec bags are the way to go. I'm totally impressed, totally sold. That's the way to go. Check them out, okay? Rick, any last words?
Nope, I appreciate the opportunity, Matt, and just happy Memorial Day, and let's remember why we have that.
You got it, brother. You take care, and Rick will be talking to each other. I'll keep communicating with you when it comes to Gun Show. Everybody, Rick Dyer from, say that the proper name of the business. I'm kind of like mixing it up here.
It would be Protec, No Rust Bags.
There you go. That's it. Rick, you take care, and we'll talk to you soon, okay, buddy?
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, buddy. Out here. Ladies and gentlemen, that was an awesome interview. That's an awesome product. You need to go buy that product. It's an incredible product to preserve your weapon. Go check it out. We'll be talking with Rick, I'm sure, in the future. I'll be dealing with him later. Maybe we can get some product through my location here and we can have it accessible to you.